Hello and welcome
All
back
good.
to Bridge TV. It's been a while, but we're back and we thought we'd give you a bit of an update and the perfect two men to give them updates. We've got Jay and we've got the chairman, Alistair Nash, with us today. How have you both been during lockdown?
Yeah, all good. Busy.
Yeah, I can imagine. From a chairman's point of view as well, how much of a challenge has this second lockdown been?
I think probably like most businesses, the challenge is switching off, switching back on, and switching off again, because it impacts across the whole fabric of what we do. So whether it be the squad, making sure they're staying fit, through to the bar, brewery, supply chain, all those things are all a big factor. Food that you've got. So yes, it's very difficult, and then to obviously prep yourself to be good to go when it is back on again. So yes, it affects everybody and anything across the club.
And we spoke in the summer briefly for the FA Cup game, I believe it was. And you said the first lockdown actually allowed the club to make improvements off the pitch and begin to look like an Isthmian club. This second lockdown, has it been similar? Has it allowed you to make the same type of improvements, or have you faced more obstacles this time around?
Partly, we have continued, and we are even today. We are taking the opportunity to do some more groundwork, and that's again because of the amount of water. I believe October was the wettest on record. November wasn't far behind. So yes, we are still doing some ditch work to make sure we keep as much water away from our main pitch as possible. We've had some other issues that we didn't foresee, and it was around drainage of the clubhouse with water, would you believe, coming off the roof into the car park and backfilling onto the main pitches back to pitch one. So we've had to put in more defensive work to ensure that we give pitch one every protection it can. So yes, there always seems to be something, Tom, to do here. And equally behind the scenes, we've continued looking at funding, of course. I'm delighted to say we've secured a fund, would you believe, for 950 trees to come here to the club. That'll commence during Q1 of 21, which is fantastic news for the community. So we'll be inviting the village up for Plant a Tree Day, which hopefully will be a bit of fun. But what it does, it secures the future of the landscape of this facility, which is 17 acres for people who didn't know that. So it's a significant site. The council have been here; they're delighted with the work we're doing. So yes, we've never switched off, Tom. We have to keep moving forward. We're always finding things to improve on. Everybody involved and switched on.
And Jay, I suppose from your point of view, I suppose from your point of view, it's been the busiest of times trying to sort things out and collectively as a group trying to make sure the club remains stable and everything is developing despite the lockdown.
I mean, we are a very small group, and everybody has been here working off the pitches as best we can. And every time we work on one thing, another thing gets thrown up. So we seem to be perpetually chasing our tails. But we want to get back to the business of football, which is why we're here, and we're doing everything we can to make that happen. As well as the first team, all our other teams, the leagues are still unsure whether they're coming back on the 6th or the 13th, and then they want to play on the 20th. And are they going to come back on the 3rd, or are they going to leave it? When do the kids go back? So there's a lot of discussions and a lot of decisions have to be made still yet as we move forward. So, yeah, it's been very tough.
When can we expect to see the Hullbridge first team back in action? Not necessarily at home. The next game in general, can you give us an update when we can expect to see them back?
I believe, of December at Malden and Tiptree.
And hopefully
is their first scheduled league game.
And Malden, it should be tier 2, so I believe the fans should be allowed in.
Yeah, again, there seems to be a massive grey area over what we can do. I mean, at the moment, the discussion is, if we put on a football match, are we allowed to open our bar? Can we feed people? Do we have to sit down people to open our bar? So again, there are a lot of anomalies that we've got to work on and establish exactly what we can do. Because there's no point the football club opening if we can't provide food and drink.
How frustrating
properly.
Is it, the lack of
extremely
decisions being made?
If we're to open our bar, we have to sit people. If we're to open our bar, I believe we have people down to feed them, but that's not practical on a match day. People just a burger in their hand, standing by the rail, watching the football.
It seems certainly that,
unless I've completely got it wrong,
it seems that clubs in the non-league are being sort of, especially in certain leagues, being left out in the cold and left waiting for decisions. Is that the most frustrating thing? You're just waiting for answers constantly, and the answers yet to be given.
There's no hard and fast rules. This is what's going to happen. There's contradictory advice on both sides that can be muddied and form grey areas of how you interpret them.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, just to throw into the mix, I mean, I can say that there is a significant amount of pushback from club chairmen. Not talking about the Isthmian, I'm talking about across the UK. So I'm privy to some visibility on that. So I think we've got to watch this space, Tom. To be honest, it has to be sustainable, and clearly, a club of our level, the sustainability sits around match day. So therefore, that's the gate, and that's the bar. Without both of those functioning properly, it's not a sustainable model. So what's also happening is, again, because of the league trying to complete timetables, have now rearranged fixtures where there are a number of matches going across the next 8 to 10 weeks. So again, that has another impact on pitch and welfare and all the other good things. So it's a very, very challenging time for everybody.
As for Lower Road, is there any timescale when we can expect to be welcoming fans back into the stadium for the game? At the moment,
they can come back pretty much as soon as we start, really.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem with having them back, but it's how we look after them and feed and water them.
Yeah,
it's the issue. Because if we can't do that, it's pointless putting football matches on.
How much of a relief?
The club, it's not sustainable.
How much of a relief was the news, though, that football could come back sooner than probably most expected when it was announced that we could see Hullbridge play again, especially during the festive period?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Christmas is always a great time for football. Aside of the family, you know, Boxing Day matches have always been a huge part of our schedule. Of course, we all want that. We want it back to normal as quickly as we can. As I said, it's all got to match up with actually providing the right level of service, which is exactly what Jay said. So yes, we all want it, but we've got to make sure we deliver, you know, right every time. So that again is a huge challenge over this period.
And the initial announcement of lockdown, the being branded under the non-elite sport level, was that disappointing and again frustrating to see other clubs still play on in a couple of leagues above, whilst you was told you can no longer play and have fans in and everything?
Jay, do you want to answer that one?
Well, we have been allowed fans in, haven't we? So we weren't really touched by that. It was the elite level, they weren't allowed fans. So we could still have 50% of our capacity, which was way above what we were normally getting anyway. I think our gates are between 200 and 300 now, where they were about 60 and one man and his dog. So,
and then
I think we're actually all right.
The news came that only elite sport could continue. Do you feel that your level should be allowed to continue? Either you can.
Yeah, sorry, I might have missed that question, Tom. Yes, I think it should have been. And I think it was proven that it didn't really have too much of an impact, because they then let football pretty much continue across the board. So, yeah, I think we should have been allowed. And there's an argument that really fans should have been a percentage allowed back, which they're going to do now at elite level, aren't they, I believe?
Yeah, I believe they are. I know Southend United, more than elite level, well, arguable these days, allowing 2,000 fans in a route 2 after lockdown. But moving on to something more positive, I guess. Darren Manning and James Wakelin celebrated 3 years at the club. I believe it was last week. How much of a delight and pleasure has it been watching a team grow under their guidance in the last 3 years? Alistair, I'll start with you.
Yeah, as you'd expect, I'm very close with both guys. They came in when Hullbridge was in danger of being relegated out of Step 5. So when they did that job, and then in their first season got promotion, that's when I rejoined the club. They've never looked back. But the one great thing about those two guys is that they're learning on the job. They're very open-minded, willing to change. And I'm talking about off pitch and on pitch as well. If there's challenges with the club, they attend meetings. They're totally part of the fabric of this facility and this team. So that carries a lot of weight when you're trying to make joint decisions. So yes, we work collectively as a team. We've got Alan Webb, who's director of football. He's a great link man, so he works between Darren James and the 23s and the 18s. So, and Darren feeds all of that. So we've got scouts out looking all the time. So Darren and James are literally learning on the job as they go. But one absolute pleasure to work with those two guys.
And Jan, I guess in a similar feeling, having
exactly. They bring a great buzz to the club. They've done phenomenally well to have kept us up, as well as making sure we weren't relegated, as Al said. And they're just a joy to be around. It never feels like it's a chore working with them, and we get stuff done. As Al said, our fabric is we're all together in this, so we move forward as a unit. It's good to be part of.
And the other thing from a club point of view, Tom, is that quite naturally they want to achieve things, and we encourage that. But equally, sometimes the brakes need to be applied for all the right reasons. So, in terms of where we want to go, in terms of expenditure and different things like that. But it's a very, very positive relationship that we have. That's off the pitch and on the pitch. And I would also say that the togetherness of the squad that they've built is worth points this season, no question. So Darren and James work very hard on making sure that we've got the right blend of players that come into the, as we like to call it, the Hullbridge family.
Yeah, when we did speak again in the summer before that FA Cup game, you said you were quietly confident of a good season. Now we're a few games in, we had some really good performances and maybe a couple of performances to forget. Do you feel the squad is still progressing and still aiming to hit new heights this season in the Isthmian?
I think if we could get a level of games in and form a consistent run, then the answer is yes, we should be able to, because it's been so broken up and so fragmented. It's been difficult to get any consistency, and the players should be at a level where, yeah, they can pick it up and move forward. But I guess we're 2 games or 2 wins away from third place, and equally we're 2 losses away from bottom place. So it's been tough for every club.
Yeah. As I always just guess it's just glad to have some news that we will see a return of football and Hullbridge, and hopefully the wins with that will come, and we can have a good season, and a season that doesn't break up again. Fingers crossed, but there's no guarantees over that. Thanks very much for both your time today. I'm out of questions. Personally, is there anything you two want to add?
No, I'd just like to say thanks, Tom. You've done a great job for us as well. So Tom does all our media reporting, and he's at college as well, so he's doing this as part of his project. And we love to have you here, Tom. You're doing a great job, and you've got to make the squad and us as we go along. So thanks for all the great work you're doing. Thanks to everybody for continuing to support us. We are very positive as a club. You'll see some of the stuff that we're doing around the ground. There are some other good things to tell you about probably in the new year. Some quite exciting developments, but I'll tell you about those when they're absolutely secured. But let's keep doing this, Tom. Great work, and keep well, everybody.
All right. And I'd just like to echo what Al said. Tom, you've been my go-to guy. He really helps me and would like to help and support you. So keep up the good work, and yeah, onwards and upwards.
Cheers, guys.